Yesterday-ish, Elon raised $6 billion for his linear algebra company, xAI, then predicted artificial general intelligence surpassing humans will be here by next year. Moments later, Meta's chief AI wizard Yann Lecun joined the chat to roast Elon on his own platform, basically implying that his predictions are insane. Elon clapped back, casting doubt on Yann's science abilities. Then Yann was like, "Dog, I've published 80 technical papers in the last 2 years, how about you?" Elon was like, "That's nothing," and then Yann was like, "Well, if it's not published, it's definitely not science." And then Elon's all, "This is one of the dumbest things anyone has ever said." At which point Yann gave him the elitist definition of how science works, thus concluding one of the dumbest debates of all time between two of the brightest minds in technology. Yann and Elon may not agree on the definition of science, but they also disagree on the future of AGI. Elon says it's about to come, but Yann thinks it may never come. Some say that AI is not even real. It's just the greatest marketing scam ever pulled by the linear algebra industry. And in today's video, we'll look at 5 recent examples that are both hilarious and terrifying of when linear algebra goes wrong. It is May 30th, 2024, and you're watching the Code Report. First up, we need to talk about Stability AI, which might need to be renamed Unstable AI. And that's unfortunate because it's a far more open AI company than its competitors like OpenAI, and they create the best open image models out there like Stable Diffusion. It's raised a lot of money, but recently failed to raise more money at a $4 billion valuation, and they're spending money like crazy. In addition, its founder and CEO recently announced plans to step down, and said you're not going to beat centralized AI with more centralized AI. This is the same guy that said in 5 years there will be no programmers left. The unfortunate reality is that you need billions of dollars in cash to burn through to train these large foundation models. Stability AI is not like Microsoft, where they rake in billions of dollars every month selling a subpar operating system, and if it doesn't come up with a way to generate a lot more revenue fast, it could fail. My only hope is that they release Stable Diffusion 3 before that happens. Before we go any further though, I want to tell you about an amazing tool that every programmer should know about called Codium, the sponsor of today's video. By now you've probably heard of GitHub Copilot, but what if there was a better alternative with all the same features that was completely free for individual developers? It sounds too good to be true, but if you don't believe me, install it on any editor right now, then hit Control-I. You now have the ability to write code with AI using a model that's trained on permissive data. It can easily refactor and explain existing code, but most importantly, it understands context. It'll automatically take into account the context of open files and the current Git repo, but this context can also be customized. You can choose other files, directories, and repos to guide the AI to the proper code style and APIs for your project. And it's just flat out fun to use. Use Codium for free forever with no strings attached using the link right here. But now let's get back to failures like Google Search AI. This weekend I was making a pizza, but the cheese was falling off. So I went to Google to see what I could do about this. Gemini, in its infinite wisdom, it told me to go ahead and add 1/8 of a cup of non-toxic glue to the sauce to give it more tackiness. And I had to learn the hard way that this is not a great idea if you're concerned about diarrhea. Also, don't ask Google AI about depression or homicidal feelings. Just trust me on that one. But luckily, I have a little secret to let you in on. If you go to Google search and then add this URL parameter of UDM14, you can go back to the old Google search before it panic implemented AI everywhere. It's just pure Google search where your only worry is being bombarded by advertisements. Speaking of ads, the world's most notorious data harvester, Meta, is also a frontrunner in the AI race. They've given us some great open models like Llama. However, in order to train these models, they need a lot of data, and they want to use Facebook and Instagram user data to do that. Now, most people don't want their personal information devoured by AI, so in true Meta form, they create a policy that collects your data for AI by default, then provide a convoluted way to opt out of it. You have to find and fill out this form, which requires a written explanation, then request a one-time password to finally submit it. They want to cover their asses legally, but also really don't want you to opt out. And I 100% guarantee there will be a useless Senate hearing about this in the next couple of years. But our next major failure is a 2-for-1, including the humane pin and the rabbit R1. The humane pin, which was famously obliterated by Marcus Brownlee, spent 6 years developing this thing in stealth mode while raising $230 million. And now they're trying to find a sucker to buy this company for $1 billion. The rabbit R1 is a similar useless product, which I criticized a few months ago because you can do the exact same thing with an app on your phone, but I had no idea how deep this scam actually goes. I don't want to give away the details, so check out CoffeeZilla's video on that.
It's built on a scam.
And finally, that brings us to number 5, GPT-5. OpenAI recently announced that they're now training GPT-5, a new frontier model that will, quote, bring us to the next level of capabilities on our path to AGI. And that statement is extremely disappointing because if you read between the lines, it means that AGI has not been achieved internally, like everyone was speculating a few months ago when Sam Altman was fired. This week, one of the former board members spoke out about why Sam Altman was fired, and it had nothing to do with AGI taking over humanity. Apparently, Sam Altman was outright lying to the board.
Why you always lying?
And as of this week, he's now the head of OpenAI's new 9-person safety committee. But it makes you wonder if all this pontificating about AI safety is actually just a lie. If fear keeps the hype train going and opens the door to things like regulatory capture and ultimately more money. Artificial intelligence is no doubt a useful tool, but the greatest trick linear algebra ever pulled was making humans think that large language models are actually intelligent. This has been the Code Report. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.